welcome to the Bay State Golf Podcast. Before we get to my conversation with Garrett Salvucci today, just want to take a moment and make a few plugs. First off, please go check out my website, baystategolf.com. It's where I have all of my reviews of golf courses in Massachusetts. You can go read through them. I also have a list of the golf courses that are open during the winter in Massachusetts and also in other spots in New England, mainly some Rhode Island and Connecticut courses as well. So as the weather starts to warm, hopefully in the next couple weeks, and we get out of this deep freeze we've been in, maybe you can get out and play a little bit of golf, go walk 9 holes, get some fresh air, and get your sanity back. That's a good list to check out on baystategolf.com. My Instagram is another good place if you're just looking for some content around Massachusetts golf. That's baystate_golf. And finally, I have a newsletter that I write every week. It comes out every Friday morning. And the goal of that is to just kind of take everything I've written and created and read and ate and drank and just kind of a roundup of my entire week with a little essay at the top. That would be really great if you subscribe to that as well. All the links are in the show notes, so you can get those rather easily. The newsletter is probably the best one, as it will bring you to all of these other things that I do during the week. And also, please subscribe to this specific podcast wherever you're listening. If you're an iTunes or an Apple Podcast person, if you're a Spotify person, we have this on YouTube. But following, subscribing, whatever that button says, go ahead and press it and leave a review, leave a rating, leave a comment. If you're on YouTube, always nice to get some notes from people. So that would be super helpful as well. Today's podcast, I have Garrett Salvucci on. He is a really interesting guy. We just kind of quickly connected on Instagram in the last couple of weeks. He started a account in January. It's called Drop Zone Golf Co. And he describes it as a place for golf. It is obviously very new, and he's in the middle of winter. So we talk a little bit about how he's just trying to get started and get some content and do some different things that will interest people and that are interesting to him. He's interested in fashion. He's interested in digging up old golf clubs and rummaging through used clubs and so he's been kind of creating some cool stuff on his accounts. That's Drop Zone Golf Co. And I will put a link to that as well. So we talked for about an hour, and we do his 5 rounds in Massachusetts. Always a good way to just get the sense of where people have played and what they want to play again. And we have a wide-ranging conversation. So thanks for listening to the podcast today. Thanks to Garrett for joining. Let's get to my conversation with Garrett Salvucci of Drop Zone Golf Co. I want to welcome in Garrett Salvucci to the Bay State Golf Podcast. Garrett, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you very much for having me, Sean. I love chopping it up about golf, and an opportunity to chop it up about Massachusetts golf is a no-brainer. So happy to be here and appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, well, when you can't play because it's 15 degrees out, you might as well talk about it, right? Freezing cold Friday morning.
So I just started this page in January. The new year, I was like, I need to do more in golf. Like I just want to be around golf and talk about golf and everything to do with golf. I just love. So it's not the best season to start a golf page. So we're
I would argue maybe it's not that bad because you'll get some reps in. You'll have to be somewhat creative.
100%.
And maybe you figure out what sticks and what doesn't. And then when the weather's warm, you're kind of ready to go versus trying to start in March or April and doing a bunch of stuff. So I would say it's not that bad of a time on the bright side.
I like it. I like the positive affirmations there. You're right. You're very right though. Like I have to kind of think outside the box of what to do. Like, I don't think this page is going to be super geared towards like, the play a hole with me stuff or,
right.
I'm not a golf personality. So I want to make pleasing golf videos, whether it's on the course, whether it's like golf apparel that I'm into, whether it's like me going to a golf shop and kind of documenting, some cool clubs that I find, just everything about golf and I think right now it's as cold as ever now, I think, in the whole country. So we're not alone right now, I don't think.
Yeah. I found myself just when I'm on Instagram or Twitter, like you mentioned the play a hole with me videos. Those are like the things I move through I don't if I see someone hit a ball and then like the tracker following the ball, it's like I don't need to watch someone else play a
Unless
hole.
you're
Unless I know you, unless
yeah,
you're like one of 4 people in the world. I don't need a 60-second video of you playing golf. I try to avoid those too. No one wants to watch me play
100%.
a whole round of golf.
And don't get me wrong, I'm very into like the guys who've been doing it a while, and
Sure.
guys that are funny and or pros. I like watching pros swing, but yeah, not into like just a random dude going out and posting and editing a clip of play a hole with me. Like, I give him credit for putting the work in and doing that, but I think there's just so much of it. There's so much of it. So
Yeah. I do appreciate my favorite one that you've done is when you went to Joe and Lee's. Is that the right?
Yeah.
That's the right
Yeah.
name. I always want to call it Jake and Lee's, but I've never been there, and that was a cool little like 90-second. And it's made me. I live north of the city. Like that is not necessarily an easy place to get to unless you pick the perfect time of day to drive down there.
100%.
And it's definitely like in the back of my head now. I might go there instead of a PGA Superstore.
Yeah, that's like the exact like use case for it is like, especially I think people getting into the game of golf. You go to PGA Superstore and you get all the new clubs. Like they have a used section, but it's barely any used clubs, and it's still marked
It's
up.
tough.
So Joe and Lee's is awesome for filling that gap where there is so many golf clubs, old, new, like really old. Like I highlighted a Scotty on there that was like, what is this thing?
Yeah, with
so
the like U in the back, right? The one with the the balance weight. Yeah.
And a bunch of old putters. Like I didn't even look at the price tag on these things. I don't know what they were, but a bunch of old putters, wedges from a few years ago that are in good shape. A lot of irons from 2-3 years ago that are in good shape, and they're sub $1,000. So it's like, all these new clubs are just going for crazy amounts of money. They have a bunch of drivers, like the old Callaways that were like 2-3 year, like Epic, I think it was.
Yeah,
really good. That are
jailbreak.
Really, yeah, so they have a bunch of those. It's just a cool store, and I, going back to your point about just thinking outside the box, anything to do with golf that I think can be captivating for somebody to see, like, why not?
Yeah. What made you start the account? It's very new. Like you started in January, so you're at the start, and you've done a few different types of clips. Obviously, you've got to be creative, but like why now? What spurred the just do it?
I think looking back at like, for a day job, I work for a software company. I sell software security. So that is great. And that's what makes me money. And that's my profession. But I think, inevitably I want to work in the golf industry one day. And I don't know in what capacity, but I don't think online kind of social golf is going anywhere. So I fought it for a long time, and I was like, no, I don't want to I don't want to go on Instagram. I don't want to be doing this. But, I think coming into the new year, the new energy of the year, and just looking back at 2023, and I didn't really have a ton that I could sink my teeth into outside of my profession. And, I play music. I'm a creator at heart, and I like talking about golf, and I like making these cool videos. And if it picks up, great. If not, like I'm doing stuff I love. So I think that's why I love golf. I want to do more things I love. I want to talk about more things I'm into, and social online golf media is not going anywhere. So you got to start at some point.
Yeah, for sure. And just bit by bit.
Brick by brick.
And if you like doing it, it doesn't feel like it's a headache to do. And
no, it's fun. It's fun. Sometimes it does get tedious. You're editing clips in CapCut, and you're like heads down, and pulling
Yeah.
muscles in your neck, but um, it's cool. It's cool. It feels good. So
And you are kind of into the the fashion side, at least from what I've seen so far. You did a
yes,
Minwoo Lee post when he joined Lululemon, which is kind of a wild addition to the golf world. I think it's great.
mm-hmm.
So like, what is that? Is that something you're just kind of trying to do because it's January, or is that kind of a thing that you
I think
are into?
I
Not
think
to say you're not into it, but like, would that be a thing you would continue to do when you're actually out and it's warm?
yeah, I think it's going to be a consistent thing, whether it's
Yeah.
talking about apparel news and sponsorship news with pro golf. I mean, you saw Jason Day, you saw Tiger leave Nike, you see Minwoo Lee joining Lululemon. It's like what's kind of happening. I think it's like because I am into the apparel and fashion side of golf, like I'm into that, and I think there's a big market for it on Instagram too. Like there are a lot of folks talking about this Jason Day stuff, a lot of folks talking about the Minwoo Lee stuff. So yeah, I'm trying to get into that kind of I'm trying to get into that space as well. Because I'm into it. I've always been into like different styles and like unique looks, and now that that's coming into golf is really cool.
Give me your Malbon Jason Day take. What do you think?
I love it. I like it. I like it. I like that, they're pushing the envelope. Two, I like that their stuff just like looks different. Like there's actual logos of the golf brand, obviously Nike, but you're really just seeing the Malbon logos, and the drops that Malbon's coming out with. Like they have different drops, Malbon. So they have like a Tiger Buckets drop. They'll have like a bunch of different drops. And J Day, I don't know what it's called, but it's like a golf ball with a hat on. And like you'll see that logo. It's cool. I like the
Yep.
logoing. Um, I think where people push back on this is it doesn't look like the most comfortable like material. Like it doesn't look as moisture wicking as the Nike pants or whatever. So I think that's where it like doesn't look super comfortable, but it's also like that look is kind of coming back, like the 90s vintage baggy heavy look. I think it's going to pick up, and people are kind of fighting it right now, but if something is cool and like new and innovative, people will always kind of fight it. So
Yeah, it is. A couple of my buddies I was texting with about it, and there's a couple podcasts I listen to that are like not in the golf world, and they were talking about just like the general fashion of the times right now is trending, like you were just saying, to bag your stuff. And I said that to them, I was like, this is kind of what people are wearing, who are not us.
yeah, yeah,
And they were like, really? I said, yeah, this is like that baggy stuff is kind of coming back. I
100%.
wouldn't wear it. Like, it's not something I would show up to a golf course wearing like big baggy stuff.
Right.
It's just not but I think the patterning is the weird part on the mount. Like his pants that he wore, like they can be baggy, but I'm surprised that Jason Day doesn't have at least as far as I know, doesn't have his own logo. All these guys on tour have their own logo. I have not seen like a Jason Day like branding
Interesting.
ever on him, right? I can't think of anything.
No.
Like Nike athlete, like even Rory doesn't really have anything that he wears that's like Rory McIlroy branded.
Yeah.
Maybe that was a Nike thing, and now he will. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see like a J Day line. Like I'm sure they have a J Day line right now, but like I don't think it's being sold like on their website. So he wears obviously the pro stuff they make for him, but would be interesting to see one if a logo comes out for him, and two,
Yeah.
will that stuff be readily available?
And then Charlie Hull too. Interesting signing for Malbon as well. That'll be just as on the women's side will be good.
Yes. I mean, it's crazy. I obviously don't know the financial part of it, but I can't imagine getting J Day off Nike was cheap. So kudos to them. I mean, it's an awesome signing. It's really cool. I think I think it'll evolve. Like, I think there's some fine tuning to be had, but it's really cool. It's really cool.
Yeah. What I do want to get, maybe what we'll do is I'm going to ask you, because I think part of what we wanted to talk about is just like golf in Massachusetts and golf courses. You've got kind of a central Mass upbringing. So maybe we'll touch on some stuff out there too. There's the pride in that part of the state when I post stuff on the like eastern.
Yeah, do you get like
man, you got to get out here. Got to go play this place.
Now,
Where's the Berkshires?
You must be at a point where you have courses kind of coming to you and saying, "Hey, come out," or no? Are you doing this all outbound, going out, breaking out the drone? Like,
yeah.
What's the process there?
My process is I'm trying to be like a vampire, so I try to get invited in. I got to be invited in the door, and I have people like members have been really nice and will reach out and say, if you want to come play, like let me know and we'll set you up. I don't really have golf courses do that per se. Maybe employees, members. Like there might be some people who are like on the grounds crew and like I work here. If you want to come out and play and see it, I'll play with you.
Right.
Yeah, so that's kind of one way. People always ask how I get on some of the nicer private golf courses, and that's awesome. One way. I sometimes just have friends who are members or whatever. But yeah, I try just to. I'm not trying to make call in favors or reach out to people saying what I'm doing. I'm just trying to do it that way.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's been fun. People are super kind
in the Massachusetts golf community that are members at these awesome tracks, liking what you're doing and reaching out to you and inviting you to play. I mean, that's pretty fantastic, man. So
yeah, it's great. I tell people if you want to play good golf courses, just start an Instagram account and say you're trying to play every golf course.
So it's a goal of mine for sure.
So one of the things I ask my guests to do, and this will be a good gateway into other golf course conversations and stuff in Massachusetts, is you get 5 rounds in the state. I try to pose it as you're leaving the state to live somewhere else, and someone says you can play 5 rounds before you leave. Makes it less morbid than the kind of like final 5 rounds of your life kind of thing.
Right.
So you can break it up however you want. You can play one place 5 times. You might love one spot more than any other place, and you just want to play it 5 times with a bunch of buddies, or you can play 5 places once. So I'm going to turn it over to you. I'm going to ask you to give your list, and we can chat about each place, and
cool.
And then kind of go from there.
Cool. All right, I'm going to start it off with 2 rounds at Pine Hills in Plymouth. There's 2 courses there. I love Plymouth golf. I grew up going to Plymouth every weekend. My grandparents lived in Plymouth. There's something about the grass there because Plymouth golf is fantastic. Crosswinds, Waverly, Pine Hills, Atlantic Country Club. If you go a bit deeper, they got Plymouth Country Club. So
Old Sandwich.
I've never played it, but so one round at the Jones course there, 1 round at the Nicholas course there.
Okay.
So I love the conditions, the experience. It's all like start to finish. It's typically very, very good. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna preface this whole thing with I grew up playing public golf, so I obviously know there are immaculate private golf courses in Massachusetts that I haven't played, so that's why I'm not really. There are a few but this list.
I love it. It's your list. It's your list.
This
is your list.
Okay, my list. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, other people can make their list and they can send it to me. This is Garrett's list.
All right. So Pine Hills.
Yep.
Full day at Pine Hills. Maybe play 36.
Okay.
18 each course in one day.
I've done that. Yeah. It's a good day.
It's awesome. I'm gonna go Redtail Golf Club out in Devons.
Yep.
Now this may be a bit controversial because I know they went through change in ownership and management like the past 3 years. I'm talking, I used to play Redtail 2018, 2017. I used to live in Cambridge, so we would drive up there at like 2:30, 3 in the afternoon in the summer, and it would take like 35, 40 minutes. So Red Tail circa 2017 is my third round.
Okay.
Myopia Hunt. I've had the opportunity to play Myopia a few times through an invite. Really cool, old, historic golf course. I think it's been around since before, like the early 1900s, maybe even before that.
19th, yeah, like 1800s. It's
Yeah.
old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's hosted some U.S. Opens. I think
highest ever winning score in a U.S. Open at Myopia. Will never be broken. Unbreakable sports record.
I mean, how can you not want to go back there and if it's one of your last rounds? So Myopia, what's that, 4?
Yep.
And then I'm gonna go out to Highfields out in
Grafton.
I think it's
right?
Grafton. Yeah,
I think
it's out.
Grafton,
It's out there.
Yeah.
It's semi-private, really fun course. Like opens up on the side of a neighborhood, and then you kind of get into the course. Always in good shape. Fun course, a lot of different holes, a lot of elevation on some holes. It's a challenge but fair. Yeah, so those are the 5.
Nice. I want to go back to, do you have a favorite of the Jones or Nicholas? Like if someone said we only have tee times at one of the other, which one would you want to have?
I've only played Jones like twice, so
okay.
I'm gonna go Nicholas just because it's what I know. But I know Jones is a bit tighter. It's a bit more target from what I remember.
Bigger greens.
Bigger greens.
Yeah, everything's a little bit.
But like fairways are tighter.
Yeah.
Yeah, both are fun. I love Plymouth golf. I could go down to Plymouth. Dorchester to Plymouth is like 35, 40 minutes in the morning. So
I learned recently that Pine Hills was supposed to be 54 holes.
Really?
And the extra 18 holes is where Old Sandwich is built. And they kind of saw that land and decided maybe this should be a private golf course, and they got Corn Crenshaw. And so, which I didn't know. So there's like a little bit of a connection between Old Sandwich and Pine Hills still, and kind of maybe some leadership and ownership. I know Old Sandwich is kind of owned by one guy, but there's some sort of connection there, which I didn't know until
I didn't know that
this fall. Cool. Yeah. So
I'm not surprised
very close to each other.
Pine Hills plays nice. So
yeah. And then I think Red Tail's great. That whole area of Butterbrook, Red Tail, and Shaker. Did you play those spots as well? Are you like a Butterbrook, Shaker Hills fan, or is Red Tail far out way?
When I could get a tee time at Butterbrook, I'd play. Every time I went on that tee sheet, it was impossible to get a tee time. So I did play Butterbrook a bunch back in the day too. When I lived up north of the city, but great course. Shaker, I've played multiple times. It's good golf out there. So
yeah. It's kind of crazy that those 3 public golf courses are probably, in the top tier of public golf in the state, and they're within.
Shaker's pricey.
I know. That's everyone's complaint.
Stories at Shaker. Yeah, I've heard some stories at Shaker. I'm not here to bash, but I've heard some stories about Shaker, and the price point. I like the golf course. Don't get me wrong, but the price is super expensive. I think it's way north of $100 now. So
yeah, and then you add in if you're a rider, it gets a little expensive. That's everyone's complaint that I hear when I post anything about Shaker, is like it's just too much. It's too much money, which is fair. What's your line? I'm always interested in like, what's your line of this is priced properly versus this is I feel like I'm splurging this weekend to play golf, and it should be a good experience.
I think it's all about the experience, and it's all about the conditions of the golf course. It's all about, the pace of play. It's about like, okay, you pull into the golf course, you go in to pay. Like if you're paying, I'd say 120 plus, you should be treated like it should be a good experience start to finish. And
Yep.
if you're paying 130, 140 bucks for a round and they don't have a ranger out like monitoring pace of play, like that's a red flag in my eyes. And I know a lot of my friends will say you're, you know, thinking I'm too like aggressive with the thought track, but I mean, look, it's how I like grew up. It's how my dad got me into golf growing up, and he was always like, he always wanted to have a good experience at the course, and there's nothing my dad hates more than like a slow round of golf. So, you know, I think I have it just like ingrained in me. But you're paying 60 bucks. Okay, if they don't have a ranger out, that's okay. You're paying 60, 70, 80, even like 80, which is crazy to say that's the low end these days.
I
But
know.
if you're paying 120, 130 and above, you should not have like any major issues. I think that's
Yeah.
kind of my take on it.
Yeah. I think if I had the money and the space to own a golf course, my entire identity as a golf course would be we play fast. And if you don't play fast, like
Yeah.
there's going to be some sort of way for us to manage it in a way that's like, sorry, this is what we do. And I think those places would become very popular with the people who are like, I'm always playing 5.5 hour rounds and I'm watching more golf than I'm playing, which is when I get frustrated when I'm just watching other people play golf. And I paid $100 and I'm watching the foursome in front of me grind out over 4-footers.
Yeah.
On the 12th hole.
I rarely do it, but if I play like a weekend public round past like 8 or 9 a.m., the anxiety I have going to the course is like, it takes a lot for me to actually manage the stress of like the potential 5.5 hour round, because a lot of courses, they don't manage it well. And it's pretty simple. You just got to have 1 or 2 rangers out, see where the backup is. But yeah, it's crazy. I mean, coming from just playing public golf all my life, it's like,
yeah,
we just get that. So
yeah. I remember growing up and as a kid being kind of like scolded for waiting a little too long on a tee box to tee off, because it's like, I might be able to reach those guys. The other piece for me is like, you mentioned it earlier, choosing the right tee box.
Yes.
And if you have a ranger on the first tee who will actually kind of help, or force isn't the right word, but encourage a group, like you should play the white tees.
Agreed.
Or have a baseline. Like I went to Pinehurst. This is the example I always give. And they just walk you to the white tees. There is not a question. There is not a conversation.
Yeah.
It's just, this is where you're playing today. And if you're with like 3 buddies and you're all single digit handicap, maybe you're like, hey, can we go back a tee? We're all like 2s or 3s. They might say yes. They might also say no. Like you can't today. We're all playing from the whites. And like I think if more courses,
the whites down there, still decently long.
and it's not the length. It's
no.
you could put people 50 yards from the green and they'd struggle.
Yeah.
But just that mentality of this is where we're playing from. Is another one.
Agreed.
So, and myopia is awesome. It was one of my favorites.
Have you played myopia?
Yeah, I've played it a bunch just because I know. I've told people this before, but I used to teach in Beverly and know a bunch of members.
Oh, nice.
I taught their kids, and so I got some connections up there. So get to play it.
Awesome.
I haven't played it in a while, but I was in a little bit of a stretch where I'd play it like about every year, maybe every other year. Do you have a favorite hole out there? If you remember, maybe it's been too long.
I like the one we started on this hole last year where you can, I don't know if it's my favorite hole, but I think it's my favorite tee shot because you can drive the green if you really get one. It's like the green's like up the hill. It's like fairly flat, the fairway, and then it goes up. And then there's like some fescue that goes up, and then it's a false front, and then the green. And it all
13?
gets I think it might be 13. And if you really
it runs along.
Yeah. You can get it over the fescue and it'll roll up. The thing is, if it rolls down a bit, you're stuck with
you're screwed.
Yeah, a tough up and in. So, trying to think what other holes.
Yeah, 13 that's a great. That's a great
it's
hole.
super risk reward because if you don't get one good, you're going in the
yeah. And then 6 is another one like that, little like half par.
yes.
It's with the water on the right.
Yes. You know what my
And you
favorite
can
hole is on
just
that course?
send it
It's the par 5 that's going down, way downhill, kind of dog leg
to.
left. And it's like a view of the whole kind of
Yeah.
not the whole property, but it's the best view on the golf course.
Yeah. The second hole.
That's my favorite hole. And then
Yeah.
your second shots into like is kind of blind, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
There's like some mounds that block the view, and then it's the green. So yeah, I'd say that's my favorite hole.
Yeah.
But great course. Great course.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That's
a drop everything and go play. Cancel
100%.
your plans.
Yeah.
Which is I guess that's a good segue. Wanted to talk about like maybe some bucket list courses in the state that you might have, spots that you're hoping to get onto. Maybe you've played once and you want to get back to here or New England or anywhere else. Just kind of bounce around some golf courses we can talk about.
Yeah, 100%. Because we live in Boston Golf Club seems unbelievable. I don't know anybody who knows anybody that like is a member there. So that would be like a bucket list track. I would love to play the country club. Haven't played the country club. Going up, I'm gonna shout out this course on Montcalm up in New Hampshire.
Yes,
really solid track. They just redid it like a couple of years ago, and I forget what college, but it's the course for some college, Dartmouth College. Yeah, it's awesome track. We went up there with really no expectations one day, and it blew any expectation we even had. So,
yeah.
Have you played?
It's a great day trip. It's a good. You can take it's like a 90, maybe about a 90-minute drive. If people have driven up towards that direction to like Hanover, it's just right off 89. Whaleback, I think it's Whaleback Ski, like a little mountain is on your left if you're going north, and Montcalm is on the right. And
fantastic.
Yeah, it's wild. Like there's some crazy holes. You're basically playing golf across what could be a ski mountain on the opposite side of what is a ski mountain. Mm-hmm. Like the 10th hole, I think, is the like just almost goes straight. Great sledding hill, I'm sure, in the winter. Just like maybe too good. Yeah, it's a good spot. People who live in Boston, you can get up there in 90 minutes. Yeah, and it's hard.
Hilly.
But that's a good call. It used to be private. Like some guy built it because he just wanted a golf course, and then I think he realized he had to open it up to let other people play.
Yeah.
And you can get up, you can go and play. They also do, at least when I played it, they do like a stay and play where you can get a discount at like a local, like a hotel.
Oh,
and they give you a discount and you could stay overnight and play it. When I played it, me and my buddies went up to Queechee, which is another good, if no one's ever been up to that spot in Vermont. Queechee Club. If you stay in Queechee, you just get an Airbnb. They have you can kind of have the people who are hosting you help you get a tee time, or you can call 3 days in advance and get a tee time. So we did that. We played. They have 36 holes, and then on the way home, we stopped at Montcalm, played Montcalm, and then finished the drive. It was a good weekend trip. If people are
fantastic trip
looking for stuff outside of the state, that's a good one. So is Queechee. I put Queechee on that list.
Yeah, I know we were doing bucket list courses, but that just came to my mind.
Yeah.
I'll check out Queechee because me and my buddies are trying to get something on the books for like later in the summer. So Queechee would be good to check out.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Yeah, bucket list. Like, I mean, obviously there are so many golf courses that I'd love to play. So many private courses in Massachusetts. I've played in Arizona before. I'd love to play more courses out there.
I've never played out there.
It's
awesome. Played out.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
You're in the middle of desert, but it's also mountain ranges too. So
yeah, great views.
California. I've played like one golf course in California. So I want to expand my golf course volume like tenfold, but real life is real life. So
what are your go-tos? You live in Dorchester, so
Mhm,
what
mhm.
are the spots like? You said you don't love weekend public golf, so a weekday, where are you jetting off to try to get 18 holes in or
Yeah,
nine at
George,
Twilight?
George Ryder, Franklin Park, 100%.
Sure.
I live about 5 minutes from President's.
Okay.
So President's in Quincy. I like. I'm not going to say it's like Granite Links, but it's a more condensed, targeted version of Granite Links. And if you've played Granite Links, Granite Links is pretty targeted. So
Yeah.
President's is even more so. It can be a bit quirky, but it's always in good shape. The greens are nice. I want to go back to the point about what you expect for an expensive round of golf. Greens need to be nice.
Yeah.
So the greens are always nice at President's. Like if greens are nice, I don't really care if the course isn't in like immaculate shape. I think greens is so important, especially in Mass. It's like you got to have nice greens.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's tough. I understand it can be tough to have nice greens, and it's keeping your greens nice is a lot of upkeep. So, but I think especially if you're charging 100 plus, greens need to be nice. But
Yeah.
so those three, I mean, because I just live so close. Brook Meadows is always nice. I have always have trouble getting tee times there. Granite, you know, Granite's a little steep in the price point realm, but
Yes.
I live like 5-10 minutes from Granite. Granite, I go to practice. It's my practice spot. So I'll hit that at like noon at lunch on a Wednesday, and there's just nobody there. If you try to go to
Oh, that's
Granite
okay.
on a Friday night,
Yeah.
you're done. So
Yeah. Although I'm interested if Topgolf is going to steal some of that energy from Granite.
I'm sure it will, but
It'll be
honestly, I
interesting.
think there's so many people that want nighttime golf experience where they can have some drinks and it's like a night out. So there's just so many
Yeah.
people like that. I think both are just going to be slammed like all through the summer and the season.
Granite Links is one of those places I've had conversations with people. It was built like 10 years too early. It would have
Okay.
never been built if it was built later, but it's like the prime kind of spot that if you built a Granite Links now where it is, you would have like a massive putting green where people
Mhm.
could go, and like a Thistledew at Pinehurst or all these like places that have like a big public putting green. People can go and putt and grab a drink and like
Yeah.
introduce someone to the game that way versus just on the driving range, or have a short course and have like this kind of golf mecca versus 27 holes of like, man, every one of those 9 holes has 4 holes that I just think are like, this is
Agreed.
it's squeezed in too much.
Agreed.
It's
The
kind of a
one
shame.
that's next to the driving range, I think it's 9 on one of the course. It's hole 9 on one of the courses. It's just like I'm literally next to the driving range, right? Like so next to the driving range. So yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
squeezed. I think it's squeezed too, man. I agree. But
Yeah.
great conditions. I mean, it's a Massachusetts course, so I don't want to not here to bash, but yeah, I agree. It's if it was built like 10 years more like near term, then yeah, there's so much more they could have done with it. I agree.
Yeah. It would have been caught up in that kind of rush of just stuff that's been built like that for people to come and like hang out and not just hit $20 buckets of balls.
It is expensive. It is a lot, and
yeah,
they haven't updated the balls in a while. They're pretty old dead balls.
And it's so windy up there. It's so windy all the time.
All right, if Granite Links is listening, new range balls,
Yeah.
please. They can do it.
What about another place I really like that's south of the city is DW Field. Did you ever venture down that direction?
I played there years ago, and I've heard in the past couple of years it's upped its game.
Yeah.
So I'd be interested to hear like what your take on it was. When did you play it?
I played it in like maybe 2 years ago. I've only played it once, but I was really impressed with like the whole thing.
Conditions.
It's super low key. We played on like a Wednesday morning. We got out just before there were like big men's, just a bunch of bunch of guys hanging out and getting ready to play
Yeah.
golf. Kind
Yeah.
of that public muni feel. The greens are outstanding. They were in great shape. I think that's kind of been one of the things that they've put some energy into, whether they hired someone to kind of bring them along or they just have put some more effort into them. But people say they're still very good. The design is great. There's some really good holes. And it's like you can go out and score, and you could. It's a little bit Franklin Park kind of routing, and it's pretty open. Some funky little holes, but that's always the case with some of these golf courses. But DW Field is one of my, like, if you live south of the city, that's always one I recommend people go check out and play.
Noted.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I've heard good things. I typically, before I play a golf course, especially if I have never played the course before, I'll go on and look at recent reviews, and DW Field I noticed was people were raving about it. So
yeah,
I love a I love a good muni. I love a good muni.
Yeah, it kind of makes you wish that Ponkapog had some sort of effort.
There's so much they could do there.
Yeah, it's insane, and they did. They tried, and they put a ton of money into it, and it's kind of back to. I've never seen a more polarizing place in my golf experience in Massachusetts. Some people love the place, some people absolutely hate the place, and it's like for the same reasons on either side. Like they love it because it's scruffy and kind of like the underdog golf course, and some people hate it for the same. Like it should be so much better.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of space. There's a lot of space that there's just nothing. They're not doing anything with it, and I honestly haven't been there in years and years and years.
Yeah,
but,
it also has that weird, like, who knows if it's true or false or like half truth, where the USGA came along and like kind of poked around to see if it could host a US Open in the early 2000s, so that adds to the frustration for people too, where they're like, this place is good enough to have the USGA come and at least like kick the tires, and it's a muddy, soggy mess with greens that have like dirt patches in the middle of them. But and who knows if that's even a true story.
I know. Well, then I heard it turned into like the parking lot for the US Open. Like I heard a bunch of things. So, that's
Brookline. Brookline was they park at Brookline.
Robert T. Lynch.
Yeah.
Robert T. Lynch park there.
Yeah, that's where they park people during. They did it this past or in 22. Yeah.
Oh, don't even get me started about that golf course.
Oh, let's go. Let's do it.
No,
last one.
We played there after like a few years ago, and it was just muddy, and it smelled too. So it was like it smelled, and it was a smell that smelled like there was some sewage stuff going on. So
yep,
we will.
There's some low spots there.
Yeah, take that as you will, but I still I love Massachusetts golf, man. I love the that builds character. That stuff builds character. So. I appreciate like the nice private round much more than, much more given I'm usually playing public golf. And I think like going back to why I started this, I call it a place for golf. It's not the Drop Zone Golf Company is not a brand right now. It's a place for golf. It's where I talk about golf. It's where like people can come and view golf and watch a cool video that's like either some apparel or, when the weather's nicer, want to make some cool, just like on-course edits. But that's why I started this. I want to resonate with like the public golfer. I think you're kind of in the same vein there, because a lot of stuff you see is like these beautiful golf courses. And at the end of the day, it just makes me want to like move out of New England. So I think there's a cool space for it here.
Yeah, it's like listening to an album or putting a record on. You gotta listen to some of the bad tracks to get to the singles, and get to the hits. And that's some of the way I think about when I go play some places that are just like, oh man, I wish I was somewhere else. But then when I'm in the great place, it's like I get this to compare it to. And most places you go have like at least one, if you're looking, at least one cool thing going on the golf course. Like
Agreed.
there's usually one thing like, oh, that's kind of neat. Like this hole is pretty great.
Agreed.
The other 8 might be really bad, or the energy around the golf course might be terrible, or it might take you 3.5 hours to play 9 holes. But like
Agreed.
this hole or this shot or this green is kind of neat. So like training, I've definitely found there's a couple places that I've had a hard time doing that, but then you go play Myopia and you're like, oh, this every hole here is it's awesome.
Yeah, I think like that's what I love about the game too. It's like it you have to learn to manage those types of emotions, like because if you don't, you're probably one gonna play golf like shit that day, and two, you're just not gonna have a good time. So like it can be hard. It can be really hard, especially going back to what I said about pace of play, like to manage the emotion of like
waiting.
I kind of want to get off this golf course right now, but I'm here, so I need to overcome that feeling if I want to 3 hours from now be driving home and like have a good score on my mind. So
I
think just the game like teaches you so much mentally, both on and off the course, which is another reason why I love it.
How so you started an Instagram account in the dead of winter. How else do you go to golf shops and wander around? How else do you kind of like scratch the golfing itch in the wintertime? Are you someone who will bundle up and go play if it's 40 degrees out? Are you going to simulators? Are you just like putting in your living room? What's your winter energy?
A little bit of everything, a little bit of all those things. If courses are open and it's 40 plus, I'll play. And it's like, if courses are open and I imagine the course is playable. So, 40 is my threshold pretty much. So yeah, when that opportunity arises, for sure, there are a lot of courses down the Cape that stay open. So I'm big into X Golf, my favorite simulator. I don't know if you've been there in Walpole. It's franchise, so there's a bunch in Mass, but X Golf I think is the best technology I've played on a simulator, both from a automation standpoint. So you never have to like lean down and pick up your ball. You just press a button, it comes up on the tee, and all the balls just kind of like come back to where you are.
Okay.
Also the putting is I think the most accurate. Like you can actually make 10-foot putts once you get the hang of it. They do like 80% when you're in a fairway bunker, 90% when you're in the rough. I know a lot of simulators just do the same shot for every lie pretty much, but this technology takes that into account. So for simulator folks that are looking to keep the swing sharp, X Golf in Walpole, or any X Golf in Mass, great simulator technology.
What so you're like simulator, you're playing a round of golf.
I'm playing.
You're hooking up.
Usually I'll go with me and one buddy and we'll book a 3-hour window and we're getting 48 holes in, 50 holes in. Yeah. So, I mean,
so you've got it dialed in, like, when it's your turn.
Yeah. If you want to do that, if you like, I recommend 2 or 3 people at the sim max, because if you're going with a foursome, you're not getting as much golf in. 2, you're just not in like a rhythm. Like you're waiting a lot, because sometimes with simulators, like the chipping and stuff's really hard. So, if you have 1 or 2, homies in the group that, are high handicap golfers, then they may take like 3-4 shots in a row. So I like going to the sim with like another person who's on the same wavelength and just crushing like 48, 50 holes of golf.
Yeah. That's amazing. And you're like a 3, 3.5, 4.
I fluctuate between like a 3 and a 5.
Okay.
When I'm playing really good, it's closer to a 3. When I'm not as tight, then I'm up at 5-ish.
Up to a 5. Yeah. It's hard. Public golf. I was.
That's another point
about
I'd love to talk
it's
about.
Really hard.
Massachusetts golf. I know we kind of had a section cut out for like the pros and cons of playing golf in Mass. So that's like a public golfer in Massachusetts that has a 3 handicap. And I'm not tooting my own horn. I know you played a 3 too, so or 2 or whatever. You were probably scratch not long ago. So
I mean, when I was young, I played in college, so
when you
kind of
played
that
more.
little
Okay,
window
yeah,
in
right,
college
yeah.
and out of college, I was, and then it just starts to creep up.
But you know
Life
what? I
happens.
think there's something to be said of someone who's playing 30 rounds a year at 20 different golf courses. Someone who's playing 30 rounds a year at the same golf course, because I don't know if it needs to be an update, a technology update in the app or what, but I think it's just it's a different level, because you got to adjust to the different grass, different greens, different pace. You never get the same pace at different
Yeah,
golf courses in Massachusetts, and I like it. It forces you to get in the zone, and like, you blow that first putt 8 feet by on one, you better not do it again. So
yep,
and then it goes the other way. You play slow greens one day, and the next day you go to play, a course that is more premier or a private course, and you're just like so off. But I think it forces you to like dial in. It forces you to get in the zone, and yeah, I think there's just a big difference between someone who plays the same course every day and someone who plays a bunch of different courses.
yeah. My small little cheat code for kind of green speed and stuff is I very rarely will hit golf balls anymore. I will go and chip and putt if you give
Mm-hmm.
me 20 minutes before tee time. I can
Agreed.
kind of get loose quick enough, and if I can hit a couple chips and just feel a ball like on an 8-iron in the center of the face and then hit some putts,
Yeah.
it definitely
Right.
helps. And I think a lot of people get to their golf course and they just want to hit balls, and then they have a 40-foot putt on the first hole and they haven't hit a putt yet, and they're
In their
just
fourth jacket.
they're
In their
just
fourth jacket.
guessing. Yeah, they're like, oh man, this place, what's going on? It's like, well, you didn't hit any putts.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's definitely what I've tried to do, just because it is hard showing up to places, and then you always know like there's one hole that there's something that's going to creep in that you don't know about, or there's going to be a creek
Right.
somewhere,
Right.
or a blind
Agreed.
shot. You're like, I had no idea that was there. So it is tough, but it's made me a better golfer. Like I think if you had me playing the 26-year-old version of me, I think I'm a better golfer now.
Yeah.
I'd love to be able to play a place like 10 times in a row. That would be
I know,
sweet.
right? You figure out the greens, you figure out all the breaks, you figure out where the
Yeah.
where the misses are, and
Yep. What's hit off each tee.
yep.
Yeah, all those things.
Yep.
So I do try to get back to I love Franklin Park for that reason. I like playing Franklin Park a couple times a year just for that. Like, oh, I have a better sense. I don't have to think on each tee box. I know what
pretty wide
what I'm
open.
doing.
Pretty wide open.
Yeah. Yeah. And then taking pictures too, right? I'm like adding on, trying to take pictures and be in that mode as well as trying to play golf.
Yeah, 100. So
You
what's
just have to
that?
be.
What's that like? So do you operate a drone?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't use it as much as I wish I did.
I imagine it's like you can't really play. Like it's tough to play while operating a drone and doing the on course stuff. Like I imagine
Yeah.
that's pretty difficult.
I've never done like drone in the air while I've done it a couple times while playing. I usually will like fly it before if I get to a place early enough. Sometimes I fly it and I don't play. Like I've gone to places that just can fly
Just
it and just shoot it because I've already played it or whatever. But yeah, flying it and trying to play, like getting it ready. I just got a new one that is a little bit easier to do that with. So
nice.
but yeah, it's just another thing. But I don't usually have a camera. I just use my phone. If I'm going to like a very nice place, I'll bring an actual camera and try to take pictures as I go, which is another thing.
Nice.
But,
nice. Yeah, man.
yeah.
It's I love the content. It's like you're highlighting these really nice golf courses, but then you're also highlighting the ones that do need some work, and it's in capturing what kind of Massachusetts golf is all about. Like the layouts here are spectacular and the conditions can be spectacular. But you obviously have some golf courses that need a lot of work. So I like the content, man.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. I started this whole thing just figuring like, this is just a thing I'm going to do and document. And then as it got going, I realized like I'm kind of just a repository for a bunch of information for people who are interested in like finding new places to play and are willing to drive an hour,
Right.
or having a hard time, like you said, finding tee times at their spots that are close to their house, they'd rather drive 45 minutes to go play somewhere new. So kind of an unexpected side effect of doing this is just now having, all this stuff that people can kind of learn from and pull from. So that's been,
I love it.
It's been fun.
I love it.
You had another thing on here that I don't, favorite club in the bag, back to kind of like your Joe and Lee's visits. What do you have in your bag right now? Or is there a favorite club back in the day that you long to have in your bag,
now,
or you remember?
I did a what's in the bag on the page too. I got and all it's while all this Nike stuff was going on with Tiger. So I have Nike Vaporfly Pro irons.
That's right. I saw that.
Look, judge me all you want, anybody, but they just look awesome. I love black irons to begin with, and like they just look awesome and they feel awesome. So could I get a nicer set of irons that may be more playable? Yes, but I'm just so into these things, and like they still perform for me for the most part. So I got those for the irons. I got a Vokey wedge, a Cleveland wedge. I play a 54 and a 56. I know a lot of people play 3 wedges and even 4, but if I'm trying to keep it lower, I play the 54 from a lot of different yardages, and then out of the sand and like anything I need some actual height on, I'll play the 56, and I just don't want to overcomplicate it. I've tried to play the 60. I've tried to bring it down to a 52, and I'm most comfortable adjusting the shot of a wedge rather than changing the club. So
have you dabbled with a 58?
I haven't. Honestly, I can get the 56 like straight up in the air. So
you can open it. Yeah. I have a 54 and a 58, which was I used to be a 56 and 60 guy, and that I got fit, and that's where because pitching wedges now are so strong,
right?
That I have my pitching wedge is a 44 degree. I got T100Ss, which is like a 9 iron back in.
Yeah, isn't that pitching usually like 46, 48?
Yeah, and then I have a 48 degree wedge.
Okay,
that's like a SM9 Vokey wedge.
Okay,
that's kind of like basically a pitching wedge, and then a 54 and a 58. So that's kind of how they gap them now, because if you have a 52, you could have like an 8 degree gap and not even know you have it.
Right.
If your pitching wedge is strong, and suddenly you're like, why am I hitting my pitching wedge 20, 30 yards longer than my gap wedge? It's not even. I need a gap wedge for my gap wedge.
For sure. That's funny. Wow, I didn't know that. Yeah. I think it's like a big thing that I believe about the game is you have to play your game, and like what somebody else hits on a tee shot, it doesn't matter. It's on a par 3. It's, I play with a lot of people will say, what'd you hit there? And I'm like, I say what I hit, but and then I follow up with, but that shouldn't affect what you hit, because I play different types of shots. I don't hit my irons very long, but so when I say I hit a 6 iron, they're like, you hit 6 there? And I'm like, yeah, that's the shot I played. So I think like play your game is a huge thing that I believe in. And I think a lot of times people try to match up club selection to another player, and it's just, there couldn't be a more wrong way to do it, because if I'm playing a cut 170 into the wind, it's going to go 150. And if you're playing a draw low, 170 shot into the wind, it's probably going to go like 170 because you're drawing it and it's low through the wind. So
yeah, and it might roll for a bit, and you're going to be on the back of the green and wonder what the hell's going on. Yeah. How long have you had those Nike irons? Is that like something you bought used, or have you had them forever?
I bought them used. I didn't buy them when they came out. I actually got them on Facebook Marketplace probably three seasons ago, and they were in mint shape. Like the dude barely used them. So I was like, they were like $500. So I was like, I'm grabbing these and I'm playing them, and I don't even care if I can't hit them. I'll put them away, but I want them in some capacity. So I ended up loving them, and they're awesome. And I got a Bettinardi flat stick. Love that thing. It's heavy. I play an old ass driver. I play a Cobra Speed Zone, play a Stealth 3-wood, and a old Callaway 4 hybrid. So it's a bag that works for me, and I've learned how to play these clubs as best as I ever have. So
That
Why
driver's got
switch?
to be like 10 years old, 8 years old,
It's the yellow and black one. So I think it's 5 years old. I think it was like a
5 years old.
2018, 2019 club.
Okay. Okay.
It's like the first like Cobra Speed Zone driver that came out. Ricky played it.
Yep.
Like yellow and
Bryson
black. You've
might have
probably
been
seen
a,
it.
yeah. So black irons, I'm just fascinated by it. Do you like the black irons because of the way they look? Because
Yeah,
they
that's
they just don't look dirty behind the ball.
that's
Like what's the,
that's a benefit. I just like how it looks.
yeah,
Uh, I'm all about like look when I look at down at the golf club. I think that's like so important. So if I can look down and be like that club looks sick, it helps me hit a better golf shot. And most of
yeah.
the time,
Any club that's on the precipice of being replaced? Who's on the top of the bitch list right now?
I just took a wedge out of my bag. So
Okay.
it was a 50-degree Mizuno, and I mostly just had it like in the bag, and I didn't
Just hang
play
it
it.
out, buddies.
But like very rarely, if I'm like, all right, I want to try to hit like a cool low one here, like a 60-yard like low, and every time I tried that, it just didn't work. So I took it
Yeah.
out and I was playing the two wedges.
Yeah. So you had a 50, a 54, and a 56.
I had the 50.
Yeah, that's what that was your setup.
Yep.
I love it.
I can't keep the 60 like low enough. Like I can't keep a 56 low enough, as low as I want it on. Like it's probably something just to do with the mechanics of my swing, but
Sure.
like I'll never take a 56 from like 80 yards out, 90 yards. I'll always take that 54. Just because I think my swing's a little bit open, and I get the ball a little bit higher than it actually should be going. But again, I play my game, so sometimes works out.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've hit about an hour here, and want to be respectful of your time. I would love to get out and play this spring or summer, and
100%.
maybe pull some strings and get you out on Boston Golf or somewhere. I think we can.
I'd love it.
Maybe make
I'd
that
love
happen.
it. I would. That'd be fantastic, man. I appreciate that, and I appreciate you having me on. And
yeah, sure thing.
The page is new. I got like no following. I'm not really doing it for the following right now. I'm just doing it because I want to talk about golf and be around golf, and that's it. Like I don't care about if I have 40,000 followers, and obviously eventually want to get there. Like eventually I want to work in the golf industry. I want to be a golf. I don't know, but I want to be around golf for my profession. So, the immediate reason I started this page is just to be around golf and talk about golf and, sink the teeth into something that I'm into.
Yeah. Hey, everything starts small. That's just 100%. How it works. Yeah. So 100%. Like go back and look at No Laying Up had 5 followers at one point, and
right.
So did Good and all those.
I'd love to. Too bad we didn't do a segment on them. Like I'm into all those dudes. Like those are the dudes that I'll like the good goods, and like that's the golf content that like I'm into, and I respect what they've been doing it for so long. So those are the ones where I'll watch like a play a hole with me. Like I love Bob Does Sports. I love like good. That stuff's awesome, and I don't think it's going anywhere. I think it's going to increase, but the thing is, a lot of people are trying to now do that, and a lot of it's just doesn't resonate the same, because you have those personalities that are really the product.
Right. I don't watch a lot of good. And by a lot, I mean, I don't really watch any.
Yeah.
I don't know. I might be just a little too old. I'm like an NLU. So I like watching those guys.
Yeah. No Laying Up.
I watch good, and I just feel old.
They 40, do a lot of like collaborations with like Bob Does Sports, and
yeah, they had a 4-play one this week that I tried to watch, and I just golly, I just have a hard time. I understand what they're doing, and I think the good guys, they had a great interview with Bryson DeChambeau that I watched. I don't know any of their names, but one of the guys just had him on for like an hour and 45 minutes, and it's like, oh, that's pretty good. And they kind of pushed him on some stuff, or at least got him to talk about live, and so they're kind of like they're starting to dabble in some stuff where they're feeling more like a media company than just a bunch of guys who are playing golf on a golf course, which is probably where they're being
100%.
pushed. Yeah.
They're all getting these sponsorships too, these endorsements. So like Good is on. I think they're on.
They're
I
Callaway
don't know.
guys.
They're Callaway.
Yeah.
Bobo Sports is Callaway. 4Play's TaylorMade. Like, and then once you're in with those levels of sponsorships, like you have so much more at your disposal. So kudos to what they do. I mean, yeah, I think some of it is like a little bit like, I don't want to say immature, but like some of it is like, is they really doing that? But I, for the most part, just watch the quick clips that come up on Instagram, and
yeah,
they're funny.
Yeah, their videos are long.
Yeah, like I don't sit down and watch like full videos really. I just see their like quicker content. But that dude GM Golf, Garrett Clark, is like, he was doing these trick shots like way back in the day, 2016. And now how many people you see doing like trick shots and stuff on Instagram. So
yeah,
he's a pioneer for sure.
Yeah. All righty. Well, I will. That's a good place to wrap up. And so it's. I will put a link in the bio to your Instagram. It's Drop Zone Golf Co.
Drop Zone Golf Co. Yes.
And you are focusing just on Instagram right now. You're not. Are you a TikToker? Are you?
No.
Good for you. Just as far as like picking one thing to do and focus on. It gets to be a lot when you're.
Yeah, maybe one day, but yeah, and I know it's probably not the right way to do it. Like I probably should be on TikTok, but for right now, let's pump up the Instagram, and yeah, we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, well, go follow Garrett, and we'll see you soon on the golf course, Garrett. Thanks for giving us an hour on a Friday morning.
Awesome, Sean. I appreciate it a lot, and
yeah, no problem.
Keep following Sean, and we'll be getting the Massachusetts golf onto the scene here.
Hell yeah!
All right, Sean.
Thanks,
I appreciate it. All right, bye.